Okay, perfect. So, we're gonna just do a quick video for sterile and kind of like what to do when you come in and what to do when you go out. Now, it's different for every office. Every office has different machinery, and they sterilize instruments differently. But for the most part, I think that this is pretty standard of how people do their sterilization. We have our cold sterile, and cold sterile is for anything that we cannot put in the heat. For example, plastics that melt and things like that. We use rubber for our O-ties, which most orthodontic offices use. Things like that we put in the cold sterile because we cannot put that in the heat because it will melt, okay? And these are the cold steriles right here. All right. And we also have our ultrasonic cleaner. And basically the ultrasonic cleaner jiggles the instruments, all right, before you put it in the heat. So what it means is it takes off all the blood or all the particles off the instruments before you put it in the heat. We have a dry heat, all right, and then we have the sterilizer with the pouches, all right, we have both. We typically put our orthodontic instruments in here, and then we have our hand pieces and IPR strips, braided wires for fixed retainers, anything that's basically in a pouch. Bands, we put our bands here and things like that. We put in this machine in pouches, and here we put our orthodontic instruments, all right? But everything else we pretty much put in pouches here. And so basically that's what it is. Metal, ultrasonic to heat, plastic and rubber, cold sterile. All right, anything that you think could possibly melt or burn, cold sterile. Anything that you feel like is stainless steel or metal, in the heat. All right, and that's pretty standard, okay? Now let's go over here and see these little lists that I have here in our clean side. So every office has their opening procedures, every office has their closing procedures, and every office has back office hours, which you do during non-patient time or during just slow time, just to kind of like, you know, keep it moving and keep it working. So again, that's opening procedures, closing procedures, and back office hours. Opening procedures should be done as soon as you come in the office. Typically we come in the office 15 minutes before patient starts. As soon as you come in, opening procedures. What's the first thing? Turn on computers and the TVs and the backs, right? So you turn on the TVs, turn on the music for patient entertainment, you turn on the computer so we can open up their charts, and what's it called? And just everything else on that opening list is what you do when you first come in. Now, if you've already come in and there are patients in the waiting room and it's getting approximate to their patient time, so let's say that their appointment starts at 8 and you get here a little bit late and it's 7:58, 7:57, immediately your tasks should be to grab the patient. Patients are always a priority. All right, everything else can get done while we're seeing patients or while we're waiting for Dr. Yarbrough. But patients are always a priority. All right. So opening procedures hopefully should be done 2 minutes before patients' appointments, and by 7:58 we should be taking the patients back already, because if they were early for their appointment, they want to be seated early most of the time. All right, and we just do that for them. Then we got our closing procedures, okay? So closing procedures, so 1 hour to 1 hour and a half before closing, we should start doing our closing procedures tasks. So if we close at 5, we should be starting closing procedures like at 4, right? Because, sorry, there's people talking in the background. So that we can all get out by like 5:15, 5:20, which would be nice. If we leave closing procedures all the way up until there's no more patients in the office, what happens is that we end up staying almost an hour after patients. So it's better to just start the procedures early. Just keep in mind, hey, we can start these procedures early and get out early. So obviously, patients are a priority though. If there are patients waiting, we would never want to start cleaning. But if maybe one patient canceled, one patient's running late, or maybe there are several assistants and all of them have taken patients, there's no patients in the router box and it's 4 o'clock, Well, guess what? It's cleaning time. Let's clean that toothbrush station. Let's wipe down those mirrors. Let's sweep the bay, you know what I mean, around where patients are not, you know what I mean? Let's catch up sterile. Let's clean the bathrooms. Let's clean the kitchen. Start collecting and taking out trash. So if we close at 5, we want to start cleaning at 4. If we close at 6, we want to start thinking about cleaning at 5, 4:30. All right. Start getting the closing lists done. That's how we do it in this office. Again, patients are a priority. If there are patients in the box, we are not doing that. That's if there's a cancellation, someone's late, or there's plenty of assistants doing patients. And but if it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, we're not standing around talking, because at that point we could be doing the closing list, right, and make it easier for everyone else that's taking patients. All right. So in the nicest way, it's for all of us. It's for the good of everybody, to do that. All right. So that's sterile, and that's opening and closing procedures for this office.